Good morning. This video is going to walk you through how to do a full section view drawing. In our third quarter assignment folder, look for this assignment 7.2.a, full section view drawing. And inside you're going to find a couple things to download. I've opened in a new tab, right click, open link in new tab. I've already opened this PDF. And you're also going to need to download that inventor file. If you come over here though to the PDF, it'll just give you a quick glimpse. This is what our deliverable should look like at the end. This is a inventor drawing file. Instead of creating a part, the part's been created and we're just going to create this drawing. And what's special about this drawing is that we are going to, in essence, slice the object in half, okay, and then remove it, half of it, and look at this surface that was created by the cut. And that's called a section view. So this is a full section view making a full slice through our part, and here we can get a view on the inside, okay, if we were to kind of slice it and open it up. So this slashed material is where we actually cut through material. On the inside, know that when we removed part of it, that will reveal some edges and lines that may otherwise have been hidden, and now they're not hidden, and so we've got some solid lines in here where they might otherwise have been dashed if we had hidden lines turned on. Okay, so I would suggest that you open this PDF and that you can scroll through and follow the steps, like I'll be doing, but we need the inventor file. Now, if you left click on this link, this widget 7.2a, widget just kind of generic part, it's going to download into your downloads file, but if you want to right click on it and look for that save link as tab, then you can download it, but you can specify where it's going to go. So I'm going to go to my documents folder, my inventor files, and this is really just kind of for training purposes. It's not part of the Automoblocks car or part of the button maker, so let's put it in the inventor training files folder. So I'm going to choose that folder, and I can go ahead and add a little note here just so later I remember. So it's a part, but what I'm going to use this part for is a full section view. And you can always add underscore your last name, first initial. Okay, and so now I'm going to save this file, this part file, and I know where to go find it. You know, my documents, my inventor files, the inventor training files folder, and that's exactly where it's going to be. Okay, so save that. So I've just downloaded that file. You also will have a YouTube video, which I'm creating right now, and that video that you're watching was linked here. At the end, we're not going to turn in a snip this time, so just be aware, we're going to turn in a PDF file. Okay, so we'll get back to that later. All right, so let me go to Inventor, and if you're following the steps, we're going to open a new file. So I'm going to go to New, and this section here is for parts. Notice in blue it's parts. These files are assembly files, but what I want this time is a drawing file. And you should have an Edgewood drawing title block that was downloaded to your computer. In a couple cases, those have been deleted from the folder where that was resided. So you may just need to choose the standard IDW file, okay, if you don't have our Edgewood drawing title block. So standard's not a big deal, but I'm going to choose the Edgewood drawing title block and create. Okay, when you've got your drawing file open, we want to go ahead and bring in our views. And we are going to bring in a base view. So I'm going to choose, if you're kind of following along, this is figure 2, 2.1. You're going to choose base. And then option 2, so figure 2.2 is pointing to this right here, these icons. You actually need to choose this right here. And you can browse for the document. So I'm going to go back under my name, and I want to go to my documents. Let's see where we're documents. My documents are right here. And I want to go to my inventor files. So I'm just navigating back to where I had downloaded that part file. So my inventor files, and then I had put it in the inventor training files, and there it is. It's widget 7.2a being used for a full section view, and there it is. It's this round part. And then I'm going to choose open. You may get some messages here and things, and I don't know if you're going to get that or not, but just say okay and yes. Okay, and now I can change some options in here if I want. I'm not going to hit OK yet. I'm not going to click over on the thing. I'm just going to move my mouse, but you can see that this part is now showing up in my drawing, and if I start clicking now, I'll be able to place it. But I'm going to pause for a second and look at some options over here. Okay, orientation, I can choose what orientation I'm going to bring it in if I change these. And now if I come back, you'll see, let's put it on like, I don't know, how about left? So if I change the orientation and I get a preview over here of what it's going to come in as, I did want to bring in the front view. Okay. You can decide if that front view is going to come in shaded or not. We don't want it shaded. Okay, this style right here allows you to turn hidden lines on or off, and I have them off. You can see in here that kind of the back of that circle is revealed. It's a lighter. Here it's not, so this is hidden lines off, this is hidden lines on, and if you just hover it'll tell you. Okay, you can always get back into these settings, and I'll show you how to do that in a second once we've placed our view and closed this window. But the scale is the size. And if I drop down, I get some preset choices, but you can also type in here. I'm going to make mine 1 to 1.5, so I just need to add the 0.5, and that's going to make it a little smaller. Like 1 to 2 would be like half the size. So I don't want to go all the way down to half. All right. And I can kind of move this, drag this window out of the way so I can review a little more of my drawing sheet. And I'm just going to place it kind of right up here, the top view. Okay, and I can always move these around. Once that's been placed, I can project other views based on that. Remember our standard ANSI pattern here for projecting views. If that's the front, then the top, the right, etc. What I want is a front, top, right ISO. So if I go diagonally from it and get that preview, I'm going to left click once and it shows. I can keep left clicking wherever I want projections, but I'm done. I just want those two. So when I'm done projecting views, I'm going to right click and say create those. Okay, and then you can get to kind of the perimeter of those views and you get that red dotted line, and with that red dotted perimeter I can left click and I can drag and rearrange. I can also right click on that red dotted line and edit view, and that's how I get back into these options where I could change my scale, my size. I can turn shading for the ISO. I'm going to go ahead and turn the shading on for the ISO. Okay. All right, so we've just done step 2. We brought in our base view, which is a front view. We brought in the isometric. Okay, following along on the sheet. And I'm on to step 3, edit views. So moving this cursor to the perimeter area where I showed you just a second ago, these red dashed lines, that's how we can do that. So step 3 says to do this, and it says to turn off the hidden lines, which I did. So let's just show it again real quick. Right click on that and choose edit view. If they were on, it would have looked like this. Okay, if those hidden lines were off, it looks like that. So step 3 tells me to turn off the hidden lines if you had them on, and to make the ISO shaded. Right click edit view, and I'm not gonna, it's already shaded, but that would be this option right here. Okay. Okay, so on to step 4, when we're going to create this section view of the part. And so following steps, it says to left click on the section view button. Look up in the ribbon where we had base and projected, we have a section. Okay, so I'm going to choose that option. And then you may notice down in the left corner, I think my screencast is cutting it off, where it's asking you to select a view. So I'm just going to move in here and select this front view that we have placed. Okay, then it's asking me to define endpoints. And so don't click right now, just pause. Notice in the directions it says pause. Next clicks need to be precise. Okay, so it says this is going to define where you're going to slice your part. So you will need to find right now, not going to click, just hovering around. Okay, I need to find, I want, at least what I wanted you to do is to find the midpoint here of this left edge. And I want you to come out to the left of it. And as I am in line with that midpoint, notice I'm getting these these dotted lines. That's kind of letting me know that I have a horizontal constraint, that I'm in line with that midpoint. Okay, the midpoint usually appears right there. There's two things that happen. You get that green dot usually, but also my little icon you can see, like a constraint icon, shows a point to not a line, but a point to a point right there. So notice that little black and white icon. Okay, so I want to find it just by hovering, no clicking, and I'm going to come to the left a little bit, and then out here to the left I'm going to click. That's going to be the first endpoint of my section line. Basically, it's where I'm going to slice with a knife. And then I'm going to come extend all the way, to the right of this right edge's midpoint. So I should have a nice horizontal line. I should be perpendicular to those vertical edges. And I'm going to left click there. Okay, and then as I move my mouse away, again, don't click, don't be click happy. I still have a line here, and that might make you want to click, but you're actually done. And so you're going to right click to get options, and you're going to say continue. Okay, and now it's helping to cut this part, and I can project views. So I'm going to come down and use the space underneath. Okay, again, before I do that, you notice I have some options over here. Okay, these options can again be accessed later. Whenever we place a view, we can come around it and get that red dotted line. We can right click on it and say edit view to kind of get back into these menus. All right, but I'm going to have hidden lines turned off. I'm going to have the shading turned off. So it should be, that's pressed and this is not. And the view identifier, I could take a second here to type that in. I can change it. Right now it's going to be A. We're going to leave it the default, but you can change that. And then this light bulb, okay, turns the identifier on or off. Okay, when we place the section view, it'll put a label next to it for us if we have the light bulb on. But clicking on that's going to turn it on or off. So I want the light bulb on. I'm going to leave the identifier labeled A. I want the same scale, 1 to 1.5. Hidden lines turned off and shading off. Okay, then I'm going to just come over here. I'm going to left click where I want to place that section view. I'm going to right click. Okay, I don't need to right click. I'm going to move this, just kind of tweak it a little bit. Get myself. Okay, so notice we get this line here, and it shows us where we cut the part. Okay, A. And then inside the same document, to help us understand this detail in this line and what that created, or maybe we see this and we go, where did that come from? This is a section view A to A, so we can find another projection over here where we see this line from A to A. So this section view, we're going to understand where it came from by this arrow right here. Okay, so here's the section view. We've essentially sliced the part and revealed that. Okay, so again, if you want to go back and change some of the settings, your section A to A is not there, that view identifier, you can right click on those red dotted lines and choose edit view, and you can bring this menu back up where you can toggle the light bulb on or off. Okay, so make sure you know how to go back into this menu and change settings. You can change the view identifier. If you change that to, how about your initials? Okay, it changes here and it changes here. Okay, kind of funny seeing your initials doubled, JoJo. Okay, I'm going to put it back on just A though. All right, and they both update. So that was step 4. We've just created a full section view. The last thing I want to do is to do a couple dimensioning things. First, I'm going to do some baseline dimensioning for my widths, and then I'm going to do some regular dimensioning here for my heights, as these are really circles. This was a revolve tool to create this part, and I've really got circles. I can understand that here, and so I really want to show diameters. The dimensioning tools are under the Annotate tab. Okay, and to get all these horizontal dimensions real quick, I'm going to choose baseline. And in the directions, it's listing this as Annotate tab, baseline, so I just clicked on that. And now using left clicks, I'm going to start with the feature to be used as the baseline or datum. And it really doesn't matter what side that is. This kind of maybe to me, with a smaller opening, could be viewed as the base. I think I did it the other way in the preview, so we'll just change it up. And you just start left clicking on all these features. So I'm going to left click on this line. I'm going to work my way across horizontally from right to left. I'm going to choose this feature. I'm going to choose this feature. I'm going to choose this line, this line, this line. These two lines are the same. This one and this one. Okay, and then I'm going to right click after I've made all my selections. I right clicked, I choose continue, and it just creates all these dimensions for me. Okay, and if I left click, it'll stop moving, but they're still not fully created. And so right now they're moving around, so I can respace them too later if I have to. I'm going to get them close. I'm going to left click. Now they don't move, but they're still not fully created. I have to right click and say create. Okay, now it turned off my dimensioning tool and they're really there. Now to give myself just a little more space, perhaps I'll drag this down a little bit. And you know what, this section AA, you can move that label. So I'm gonna hover over that, grab it and drag it over here and give myself some room to pull this down a little bit further. Okay, that way I don't have these dimensions here running into this front view as much. Okay, let's go back and grab our standard dimension tool and let's get diameters here. So I'm going to start from the smaller one, the inner one, and work my way out. So I'm going to choose this one and this one. And you'll notice if you drag really slowly that eventually you get these dashed lines, and that helps you just kind of hit some predetermined like points where they're nice uniform spacing. So I'm going to try to hit those. I can click this edit dimension when created so that it doesn't keep popping up. I don't want to edit my dimensions right now. Okay, and then I'm going to grab dimension tool still on, notice. I'm going to grab this one and this one, drag it out here. Okay, and that just gives me some uniform spacing again. So I'm going to left click to place that one. And now I'm going to go from this line to this line. And lastly, I'll do the outer surface. So I've got 4 circles I'm dimensioning here. Right click and say OK to turn off my dimension tool. Okay, so this is the first part of step 5, was just getting some horizontal and some vertical dimensions. The last step, and this is basically the end of it, is we had talked about last week that there's, within ANSI standards, there are different choices and formats. Just because we are working within a group of standards doesn't mean there's always exactly one way to do it. Sometimes just personal preference. And these dimensions right here that are vertical dimensions, okay, the numbers, kind of the text, if you will, is horizontal, which is nice because, you know, it's parallel to these and it's easy to read from one side. But what if my preference is to turn all of these so that they are aligned with the dimension line? So basically they would rotate 90 degrees and be in line with these. Okay, so I'd have to turn my head or turn the paper 90 degrees to make these, you know, more readable. Well, I want to show you where to make that change. So this is the last thing. We're going to go to the Manage tab up above, Manage, and we're going to choose the Styles Editor. And you can follow this here on your handout, your PDF. It says Change Formatting from Unilateral to Aligned is what I'm doing. So Styles Editor, and that's going to bring up a dialog box. And I was already in here, but it might not already be in here. You're probably going to have something default over here. And what you're going to look for is the dimension choice, and you're going to hit the little plus sign, expand, and bring up more choices. And you're going to go to the default ANSI. And just to review, remember we said ANSI stands for the American National Standards Institute. It's a North American organization that helps create standard practices. So we're going to go to default ANSI, and you've got all these tabs in here. Okay, and what we want to do is really kind of change the text. So we're going to go to the text tab. And you can take a minute and look through all this. Okay, but right here in this section is orientation, linear, diameters, and so we are trying to change the orientation. I mean, I see this is horizontal, this is diagonal, this is vertical. So we want to change the orientation of the text for dimensions that are vertical. And you can see right here, if I just hover and pause, that's inline, okay? And this one here is inline vertical. So inline horizontal, inline vertical. We might call this unilateral, uni for one, all of our text in one direction if we have that. But we're going to change this so we're vertically in line with our dimension. Okay, that middle choice there. And then I'm going to hit done. Save the edits. Yes. And you're going to see that these just rotated 90 degrees. Now this 0.75 popped outside. Yours should as well. Because the standards would basically tell us that that's going to get too cramped to put the 0.75 inside. Okay, and so we're pretty much done. A couple other things for your document though. I can update my drawn by, I can put a title and all this in there. How you do that is you go to iProperties. So the orange eye, you go to iProperties, go to the Summary tab, and the author I'm going to change to Mr. Orlando. The title right here, you can change to 7.2.a. We're going to have several activities here in 7.2, so we'll have A, B, C, D, etc. And this is, how about we call it a full section view, and hit apply, and OK. And now, if this bothers you that it kind of wrapped when there was a lot more room, you can take a second, and if you can come over here in your browser and find the EW IED template, so that's the Edgewood IED template, and right click on it and choose Edit Definition, you kind of get into the sketch that created all these little blocks and things. And so you can choose title, and notice that when I hover over it, the field was never defined to be very long. So I can click on it, left click, and then just come over here and drag it and make it a longer field to fill up that box. Okay, and I can do the same thing with the file name as one that's a little short. Okay, and then just say finish sketch, save the edits, yes. And that'll allow that to have more space to run horizontally. Okay, the last thing I'd like you to do, okay, is, let's go back to annotate, is to choose text, right? And we're going to add just a text box right here. All right, we're going to type in a second. Let's change the size. Let's change the color first. Let's change the color to blue. So I'm going to change blue. Okay. And then the size, I'm going to make it 0.24. So I'm going to double it. And I'm going to type full section view drawing. And I'll put my name and my date. Let's see, I'm recording this video on February 22nd, 2016. Oh. Something got pressed. Okay, so I'm going to put that title, my name, that, just in blue, that's really big. Okay, and that's it. You are done. You have learned how to do a full section view. So right click and say OK to turn off the text. And I'm going to definitely save this file. So I'm hit save. I hadn't saved it yet. That's almost a no-no to go that long. But I'm going to navigate to, let's see, my name, my documents, and my inventor files. And then this is just, again, a training file. So inventor training files, I'm going to put it in there. And it's going to be the same name as the part, but now it's an IDWA drawing, inventor drawing file. So that's good. Okay. So I'm going to hit save. Say yes. All right, now we've saved the actual inventor drawing file, but I want you to save a copy of it as a PDF. So to do that, you're going to go to Save As, hover there for a second, and then you get some different Save As options. You're going to say Save a Copy As, so you'll have two copies, one that will be the original drawing and one that's going to be a PDF copy of it. So Save Copy As. It already brings me, should default back to the same folder you just saved the drawing in. Okay. But down below here, the name, I'm going to keep the name. I'm going to change the type. Instead of an IDW, if you click that, you get other options, and we're going to find a PDF. It's a printable document. Okay, very easy to open on any computer. So we're going to save it as a PDF, hit save. Okay, and my computer just kind of, anytime I save a PDF, it automatically launches it. But that's going to now be in my, if I open my Windows Explorer here, that yellow folder brings up, and I go to Documents, let's see, my inventor files, where am I? It's not, it's in reverse alphabetical order right now. My inventor files, inventor training files, and I'm going to see that it looks like I got the file 3 times, but I've got the part I downloaded. Okay, oh, this is the part. So I've got the, there you go. I've got the part file. I've got the drawing of it, and now I have a PDF of it. So that's what you should have. For 7.2a, you should have the part, the drawing, and the PDF. The PDF is the one that you're going to attach in Angel and turn in. Thanks for watching, and hope this goes well for you.